Florida just shot itself in the foot, and it's costing real estate investors big time. So you probably know that there's many of the cities in Florida that are like at a 12-year low for sales and inventory at all-time highs. So Florida has been one of the hottest markets in the country for years. People have been flocking there for the sunshine, for the low taxes, and of course for the lifestyle. But the tide now is starting to turn, and not necessarily in a good way. So what happened, and how can you protect your investments before it's too late? And what can you learn from this? So let's break this down. So like anything, it's all supply and demand. So if you go back to 2020, let's say around the pandemic, there were states that were losers and were winners. And Florida, since 2020, has added 1.5 million people. So that's what I would call the supply. And then their existing inventory or their housing stock or whatever it is, that's their demand. So you have a supply that all moved there during that period of time, and it created all these bubbles. And then we know what happened during that period of time. We had high inflation in 2021 and 22, and then we had the Fed jacking the interest rates, what corrected the real estate market. So that's where we are. So we had all these people, and then we had the shocks of inflation and, of course, the interest rates that went up high. And, of course, the interest rates that immediately made any kind of investing negative cash flow. So now, of course, we have an exodus of people, mostly investors, out of Florida. So why? So the very first.
Okay, so before we get any further with this, I just need to check. All right, this is obviously just quickly. Florida's population was estimated to be around 24 million as of early 2025. Projecting figures roughly 20, right, respectively, is reflects a continuation of the state's rapid growth, positioning it as the third most populous state in the U.S., behind California and Texas. Projections for the state to grow by 1.4 million between 2025 and 2030. So this is still going up. For all of the talk of people are leaving Florida, this is what's happening. People come and go from every state, right? Every state. People come and go from California. People come and go from New York. People come and go from Chicago. People come and go from Nashville, et cetera, Texas, et cetera, right? People come and go. But this, the overall net, is what matters. Okay, well, what was it after the pluses and minuses? This is what it is. It's plus however many. Florida continues to attract new residents. The daily net migration is slowing from 972 residents in 2024 to 789 by 2030. This is per day. This is per day. That is crazy. State is still experiencing positive net migration. Key driver of its population increase. Population growing is shifting away from South Florida and towards more affordable locations such as Ocala, Port St. Lucie, and cities along the Space Coast. Right, people are going to go where they can afford it, right? Where they can afford it. And right now, because of what's been happening with housing prices in Florida, there's a lot more that's affordable now, like a lot more, a lot more. Right? We're seeing in some areas housing prices at 2019 levels. So anyways, I just wanted to bring this up because there are those people that are saying everybody's leaving Florida. And it's like, no, the population is still rising. People are still moving to Florida. The net migration is still rising.
Sign to look for is the exodus of Wall Street or regular investors moving out of Florida. And here's why. This is exactly what happened in 2008. The very first people to move out of Florida, of course, are going to be the real estate investors because they rely on cash flow. And it's always the same model. It's the cost of the house plus the mortgage payment, which of course is high because of interest rates, and of course, cash flow. So the very first people to leave a market like this will always be the investors. And that's happening right now, just like it happened in 2008. So the interesting thing about a real estate investor as well is they're not going to be as emotionally tied to the real estate. In other words, they're going to make quicker deals below market, and they're going to get the heck out of there because they don't know how far this is going to fall. The regular homeowners, of course.
I mean, I would say depending on the area of Florida, it's already too late. You already waited too long. If you didn't sell in 23, when there was clear cracks and things started coming down, was it even late 22 that it really started? Yeah, I would say it was more like late 22. And this is the reason why it was late 22. Right? So, I mean, I got lucky. I got my first house that I bought in Florida was down here. So my interest rate on my first house here is pretty good. I got a pretty good rate, right? Considering what they are now, I got a good rate. And, I bought this house last year somewhere down here, right? In one of these dips, I bought it. It's better than the rates that they've been now, right? We're at like a whatever they've been talking about, a 10-month low or something like that. It's better. I have a better rate than that, but also I got a good discount on the house because housing prices here have been dropping. And I'm saying they've been dropping since 2022. It may have been late 2022, but certainly since then in Florida, houses have been dropping, right? Depending on where in Florida. I'm in Southwest Florida. Housing prices have really been getting hit real hard down here, 30, 40% even, right? Depending on the specific location. That's a good time to pick up a deal. That's what I think, especially because population is still coming in. People are still moving. They still need places to live. People are always going to need places to live. May as well be my house or my neighbor or whatever, like somewhere around here that's just you're going to buy the place and all that. It's going to make the builders are certainly going nuts. Anyways, I think for around here, and again, it depends on the area. Some areas like the Northeast, they're still really high. Prices are really high. They're still like peak, right? They never really have come down. And some areas are just starting to come down.
They're holding on because they started to take a look at the equity that they used to have, and that's all moving down each and every month. Now, not in every market, but in a lot of markets. Zillow predicts that over 24 markets are going to have negative growth in the next 12 months. So a lot of people are saying Florida could be the next California. And here's why.
How?
Because for years in California, people bought based on the future capital gain or appreciation of the real estate itself and not on the fundamentals. In other words, everything was capital gain based. Everything was based on the prices in California are always going to go up. Well, now we, of course, know that's not particularly the case. And now that's happening in Florida. But here's the real reason.
And so that's what makes it more like California.
Or you've invested in Florida, you have to know that inventory's up, expenses are up, and occupancies are down, and concessions are also in the marketplace. In other words, you have a lot of inventory.
Occupancies are down.
Now, you do not have the rent growth or the price growth or anything like that a lot of healthier markets might have.
I mean, I don't see that occupancies are specifically down. He's talking about like rentals. All I'll say about that is since I've moved here, building has been crazy, right? Builders are building like it's going out of style, right? Like there's not enough housing. And they do actually project that there's not enough housing, that there's not going to be enough housing. So I don't know. It seems crazy to me. It feels like way too much building to me. Too much knocking down of all these, wetlands, other areas where there's wildlife and stuff like that. Too much knocking down of woodlands and stuff and building houses, specifically when there's houses that are like, for instance, in my neighborhood or in other neighborhoods that are just obviously vacant. I'm like, is this really all this is a second house? All of these, like, okay, if you've been in your neighborhood for a little bit of time, for at least a year, you could tell, like, okay, these people are snowbirds. All right, that house down the road over there, that's snowbird. Those guys are Canadian. Those guys are from New Jersey. Those guys, right. Those guys are from Wisconsin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Stuff like that, right? You get to see that, right? But there's a lot of other places where it's just like nobody lives there. They like just built that and it's been sitting. What's going on with that? And then they build more. And that's to me is what I've seen since I've lived in Florida, which now is 4 years. I've been coming down here for like 25 years, but that's what I see since I've lived down here. And that's the part that I don't get. They just keep building. Even in my area, there's so many developments going up that they just started within the past 6 months. And you're just like, more developments. This is with housing prices dropping, right? Starting within the last 6 months or the last year, housing prices out down here have been dropping that whole time. That whole time, housing prices have been dropping. And they're still opting to develop more communities and housing projects. It's really crazy to me. It's crazy to me. It makes me think that they know something that we don't. Like, wait a minute. Do they know of some like insane rush of people that are going to be coming here? And then all of a sudden it's just going to be full. And they finish the project. And then it's like, okay, yep. Oh, wow. There's more people. There's more cars in the parking lot than I expected. Is it full? I don't know if it's full. I have no idea if it's full. But again, there's more cars than I expected. So those people came from somewhere. I mean, again, I have a rental property. It hasn't been vacant yet. Not for a day. Hasn't been vacant. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
But now here's the kicker. And this is particularly what I want you to pay attention to, because this is happening not only in Florida, but across the country. So first, let's start with the headlines. Florida insurance premiums have doubled. Some are up over 300%. And that's if you can get insurance.
Yeah.
Just in the past couple
depending.
of years. This is, of course, because of the hurricanes and the different kinds of things that have happened down there. So we're talking $8,000 to $12,000 a year in addition to what they used to pay just to insure a typical home.
My insurance is a lot, right? It is a lot. It's nowhere near these prices. And it's not that I'm not by the water. I am. I mean, close enough. You got to drive to it. My other house is really close to the water. Again, and it's an older house, and it's nowhere near these prices. Nowhere near it. It's a fraction of $8,000. So I don't know, you know. I think maybe it depends on the type of home. If you're on the water, certainly and you're in a flood zone. Neither of my houses are in a flood zone. They're near water, but not in a flood zone. I think that is where it's a bigger deal. If you're in a flood zone, don't buy in a flood zone. Florida, all of Florida's technically in a flood zone. Okay, fine. But you know what I'm saying. Don't buy in a federally designated, you know, in a FEMA designated flood zone area. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Because then, yeah, you need flood insurance, and all that's going to make your house way more expensive. Your homeowner's insurance. That's when it's crazy. Like probably more like these numbers.
This alone has started to crunch any kind of cash flow and squeeze any homeowner that lives there already. The people that are tapping into their insurance policies and getting all these insurance to fix all these things from all these hurricanes and all these storms, the rest of Florida is now paying for that.
It's not just the rest of Florida that pays for that. It's also the rest of the country that pays for that, right? It's not just Floridians that pay for that. States with highest homeowners insurance claims, right? Most people wouldn't think of Oklahoma and Kansas, but that's huge. You would think most people probably would guess Florida, Louisiana, and even California. Look at this. State is heavily impacted by tornadoes. Most vulnerable both hurricanes and hailstorms. Wow, this is nuts. This is actually nuts. If this is accurate, I don't live on the East Coast of Florida. This is actually nuts. That's where these places are. East Coast of Florida. This is actually nuts. For a $300,000 dwelling coverage, right? But what dwelling costs $300,000 over there? Really? All right, this is what I want to see. Look at this. Nebraska and Louisiana are higher. than Florida. This is according to bankrate.com. Right? Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas.
People in Florida, even if you didn't have any losses. So you may not have had anything wrong or any damage at any time on your residence in Florida, and you're getting penalized and paying for any losses for anybody that did. And that's just the beginning. The local municipalities are now also hiking the property taxes, especially in hot areas like Miami-Dade County, Tampa, and Orlando. And why? Because the state's growth hasn't been able to keep up with its current infrastructure, and somebody has to pay that. And the only person that can pay that now, of course, are the people that actually own real estate, and they tag this through property taxes. So this is already happening, and it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah,
So
property taxes go up everywhere. I mean, right? They go up everywhere. That's just what it is.
Property taxes are getting jacked. And by the way, this is not only happening just in Florida.
Right.
It's happening across the country for the exact same reason.
That's what I'm saying. It's so like this is not just specifically a Florida thing.
Property owner. Now let's sprinkle in the HOA problem or the homeowners association issues. Now, for those of you who may not know, that homeowners associations actually collect the money that they need to maintain the physical asset, and that gets charged equally amongst all the condo owners or homeowners in an area. Well, generally, these are managed by complete morons, and they have no idea how to run a business, let alone run real estate deals. And so what's happening is they're underfunding their homeowners association dues, and they have no money left in their reserve account. So when things are needed, like
depending on
parking lot or streets or
depending on the association, absolutely,
common areas or whatever it is,
yeah,
they bang the existing residents because they don't have the cash. And so those are called special assessments.
Yeah, I would not want to
now, and they're starting to piss people off.
Live in that kind of area.
Even the governor has come up with a bill regarding this. You guys remember that Surfside building collapse?
I mean, that's a big deal.
All
that's
a result of unfunded HOAs and reserves.
Right, and that's horrible.
If they would have had the money and they would have had a competent homeowners association board, none of that would have happened. And of course, let's not forget about all the legislation that's pushing back against investors themselves. Florida recently passed legislation restricting foreign ownership in that particular market. And whether or not you agree with it or not, the signal is clear. The state is starting to pick winners and losers in the real estate game. So let me be clear, cash flow is always king. And in Florida right now, between insurance, taxes, homeowners association, and of course, all the issues from supply, from after the pandemic growth, it's getting harder and harder to pencil any kind of a deal in Florida because of the cash flow and let alone even break even.
Right. So, now, my thing with this video came out, 2 days ago? I'm filming this on the 3rd. This came out on the 1st. My issue with this video, and I really like Ken McElroy, I do. Yeah, I think that him and Danielle are great. But just living here, I'm not going to tell him about Phoenix or Scottsdale, right? Or Arizona, right? Because that's where he lives. And in general, I know that he knows about, other areas because he invests in other areas, probably including Florida. Maybe not right now, but, he probably has in the past. But just being here, I'm like, this video is actually like at least a year late. At least a year late. Because housing prices have been coming down here. I mean, just look at how long that Reventure app guy has been going on and on and on and banging about Florida. It's got to be at least a year. At least a year. At least a year. The prices have been coming down in Florida. So when the rates went up so fast in 2022, right? In those years when the rates just went from 3s to 6s, just boom, like overnight practically. Once they got into those 6s, the cash flow, like he's talking about, was over, right? It's way harder to pencil out a deal, as he's saying. But the prices have been dropping, and there are areas where it's at least a lot closer. You're almost there penciling out cash flow. Really, you're almost there. If the prices stay down and the rates come down, say a point, you're probably cash flowing. You can probably find cash flow property at that point. If the prices stay down and the rates drop, I say even a point. Will that happen? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. Because not only have prices come down, but rents have also went down, right? Rents around here, while they are still high and inflated from, pre-2020, no different than house prices, they have come down from a peak, right? I mean, I have a rental. I rented for one price. And then earlier this year, I had a vacancy, right? I had turnover and I had to lower the price because that's what the market said. The rental prices have come down. Luckily, I have the cushion within my numbers that I can do that. So, yeah, I think it depends. I think that houses are a lot closer to cash flowing here than they have been since rates have been elevated.
When people are looking to invest in Florida right now, they are now seeing these higher expenses, higher HOAs, higher special assessments, flat rents, declining property values. And so people are pulling back and they're looking to other areas. So I've been investing for over 30 years, and I've seen states go through these boom and bust cycles. And the fundamentals always win. But when the property expenses outpace growth and income, then the music stops and it's done. And this does not look like it's going to stop anytime soon. So look what happened in California. Investors, they got priced out.
Yeah, he's comparing it to California
people just
somehow.
relied on a capital gains strategy or for prices going up. This is
Which
exactly
worked for a long time,
so
frankly.
Florida's heading down that exact same path because the people are now leaving. They can't afford it. And the economics are just no longer making any kind of sense, especially for cash flow investors. And the canary in the coal mine is that the institutional and the investors themselves are already leaving. This is exactly why I say real estate is a local game. You can't just buy because a state seems hot. You have to go deep into the micro fundamentals of every single county, city, and state to really look at the nuances, to check out the cash flow before you even enter the game. So today, expenses, rent growth, supply, and regulations are all at risk. So how did Florida ruin its real estate market? Well, first we had the bubble and now it's actually deflating. Second, skyrocketing insurance costs, rising property taxes, and now fees that are being implemented on the homeowner and the investor. Heavy-handed regulation on property ownership. And then, of course, structural risks and special assessments, which we talked about with the HOAs. And that all leads to decreasing cash flows, which makes people look for other areas to live and, of course, for investing. Because we are, as you know, in a huge affordability problem. And Florida is going the wrong way. You put all these things together
around the
and
country.
we're seeing a shift from what used to be a landlord-friendly state that's now becoming
it is
one
still
that's tougher and tougher to invest in and to live in. But here's the mindset shift. Just don't follow everyone else. Follow the cash flow. If you're in Florida, just reassess your numbers. Look at your insurance renewals and look at your property tax increases. If the deal doesn't work today, it's only going to get worse tomorrow. Because trying to go backwards on some of those things that are now in place is
they don't drop, right? Your insurance and your
you need to get hyper local.
Taxes don't drop.
Some markets that have less exposure.
Doesn't really happen.
Some of these insurance shocks, property tax increases, HOA problems, and of course,
just don't buy in an HOA. That solves that. That solves that right there. Okay, so let me see. On this house I've only lived in for a year, so I don't have a ton of numbers. Right, in terms of like data, right? But for my other house I've had for a couple of years now, obviously the year one that I owned it, that was the cheapest, right? In terms of homeowners insurance and taxes, right? Absolutely was the cheapest. But I'm looking right now, my homeowners insurance has dropped. So it was peak in 2023. And this is why I say this video is at least a year late. My homeowner's insurance is among the reasons why I say that this video is at least a year late. My homeowner's insurance peaked in 2023. 2024, it came down. 2025, it came down even more. So this is where I'm like, it's not everything that everybody says on the internet, right? Unless there's somebody that is in the area and really knows or whatever, I mean, that's my firsthand, owning a rental property in the area. This is my experience. It's actually come down. My taxes, 22, it was the lowest. 23, it went up a little bit. 24, it went up like not even basically nothing. It went up basically nothing. It was basically break even. It went up like $40 for the year, right? That's nothing. So I don't know. The numbers are better than they ever have been since the rates have been going crazy. So look in your area. It really depends. Totally depends. But in Florida now, there's way more affordable housing for people than since the pandemic started, basically, right? I know that prices were going higher, right? Prices were rising the whole time, and then the pandemic just put it on steroids. And now prices have come down in many areas of Florida so much that it's almost back to that level, depending on the area.